I woke up at 3 a.m. to find my gorgeous alien neighbor knee-deep in my underwear drawer, muttering about mating rituals and battling my toaster. I woke up at 3 a.m. to find my gorgeous alien neighbor knee-deep in my underwear drawer, muttering something about fertility tokens and battling my toaster. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming. I blinked twice, squinting through the dark, but there she was, tall, athletic, blue-skinned with silver hair cascading down her shoulders, holding a pair of my oldest, most embarrassing gym socks like they were ancient artifacts. She mumbled words in her own language, then translated them aloud in broken English. Good elasticity. Signs of virility. Strong scent. Excellent offering, she said, nodding approvingly at the sock like it was a prized bull at auction. I shifted under my blanket, the bedsheet rustling too loudly in the otherwise silent room. Her head snapped up. Our eyes locked. She froze like a kid caught stealing cookies, socks dangling from her fingers. Do not be alarmed, she barked, standing upright so fast she slammed her head into my ceiling fan. She winced but kept her composure. It is custom. Very sacred. Your garments are highly valued in the courtship process. I didn't know what the hell to say. My mouth opened. Nothing came out. She interpreted my stunned silence as permission. Marching proudly, she deposited the socks onto my chest with a ceremonial flair that would have been impressive if it weren't so absurd. You are now my favored candidate, she said, giving a deep, reverent bow that afforded me a very generous view of her cleavage. We must complete the sock ritual. I wanted to ask if I could politely decline whatever madness was happening, but my sleep-addled brain betrayed me. The sock ritual? I croaked. She straightened, full of pride. Yes. We bond with sock. Then we dance with sock. Then we test our reproductive compatibility via toaster battle. I choked on a laugh. I'm sorry, did you say toaster battle? She nodded solemnly. The great trial of toast. Only the worthy may conquer. This had to be a joke. Some weird alien prank. Maybe hidden cameras. Maybe a government experiment. Maybe I'd finally lost it. Meanwhile, she was busy inspecting my sock drawer further, pulling out a ratty old pair with a hole in the toe and looking scandalized. No good. Holes mean lack of discipline, she muttered, tossing them aside like they were contaminated. Listen, Lissa, I started, trying to remember if that was even her real name, or just the human-friendly version she gave. Maybe we can talk about this tomorrow? Her face lit up radiant. Tomorrow! Perfect! Preparation phase! I will bring the courtship beast and ceremonial garments. She turned to leave, pausing at the doorframe. You must select your finest sock, she added gravely. Preferably unwashed. The door closed behind her with a soft click, leaving me lying there with two smelly socks on my chest, my mind racing. Unwashed? Did she mean that literally, or was this another translation error? I pinched myself. It hurt. This was real. I stared at the ceiling, heart hammering, imagining all the ways this could go wrong. A sock ritual? A toaster battle? Courtship beasts? Was she going to summon some slobbering alien dragon into my living room? A worrying thought hit me. What if refusing was considered an insult? I didn't want to accidentally trigger an intergalactic duel just because I wasn't into sock-related mating customs. Maybe if I played along, I could find a polite exit strategy. Or at least survive long enough to get some answers. And let's be honest, the woman, alien, whatever, was insanely attractive. Like movie star meets goddess meets accidentally adorable awkwardness. The way she'd blushed when she found the holy sock was almost cute. In a deranged, terrifying kind of way. Against all logic, I found myself actually considering it. I mean, worst case scenario, I humiliated myself in front of my neighbors. Best case? Well, it had been a very long time since my last date, let alone anything resembling romance. I sat up, brushing the socks off my chest. They hit the floor with two soft thuds, releasing a faint, nostalgic gym locker smell that nearly made me gag. Yeah. These definitely qualified as potent fertility tokens if odor was a factor. Was this real life? I padded over to the sock drawer, surveying the pathetic options. A rainbow sock from a Halloween party. An old Christmas sock with a reindeer face on it. A pair of black dress socks still in decent shape. What the hell was I doing? I yanked open the bottom drawer and found my emergency stash, the special occasion socks my ex had once bought me as a joke. Satin black, embroidered with tiny, smug-looking cats wearing crowns. Perfect. I chuckled, imagining Lissa's face when I presented these as my finest offering. If I had to go down, at least I'd go down in style. As I slid back into bed, clutching the ridiculous socks to my chest like a shield, I let out a tired, disbelieving laugh. Somewhere out there, in the grand cosmic ballet, my life had officially veered into absolute madness. Tomorrow, I had a date. A sock date. With an alien. And apparently a toaster duel. I pulled the blanket up to my chin and stared into the darkness, the faint, lingering smell of Jim's socks filling the room like some grotesque cologne. God help me, part of me was actually looking forward to it. The next morning, I woke up determined to survive whatever alien mating customs the day would throw at me. I spent far too much time ironing the ridiculous cat emblazoned socks, trying to make them look presentable, as if wrinkles would somehow offend Lissa or sabotage interspecies diplomacy. I even Googled alien courtship rituals, just in case, but shockingly, the internet had no guidance on sock-based mating challenges. By the time Lissa knocked, I had set up a little presentation area on my kitchen table, complete with the socks laid out like sacred relics atop a velvet placemat I found in a junk drawer. I didn't know what to expect, but I sure as hell didn't expect her outfit. Lissa had somehow merged every human stereotype of sexy into one catastrophic ensemble: a strappy red lingerie set, a feather boa, knee-high combat boots, and inexplicably, a Viking helmet perched proudly atop her shimmering silver hair. She beamed at me like she had just nailed the assignment. "I have dressed to entice," she declared, posing dramatically in my doorway. My jaw hit the floor. Somewhere deep inside, my primal brain was screaming yes, while my rational brain was considering whether to call the men in black. "You look stunning," I managed, voice cracking like a teenager. Her face lit up, cheeks flushing a deeper blue. She entered carrying a transparent bubble containing what looked like a slimy, farting jellyfish. "My courtship beast," she said proudly, thrusting the bubble into my hands. The slime farted audibly, releasing a smell so putrid it should have been classified as biological warfare. I gagged, trying to maintain a polite smile. "He will test our compatibility," she explained. "If he reacts with joy, our bond is strong. If he dies, we are incompatible." The stakes escalated very quickly. I set the farting slime on the table and backed away slowly, praying the poor thing would survive my very human presence. Lissa clapped her hands twice, and the fart slime let out a cheerful series of wet sputters before inflating itself like a balloon and bobbing around the room. Lissa's eyes gleamed. "He loves you! We are destined!" I wasn't sure if I should be flattered or terrified. She twirled once, nearly knocking over a lamp with her boa, and grabbed the sacred socks from the table. "We must dance now," she said solemnly, slipping one sock over each hand like puppets. "Dance of the twin offerings." Before I could object, she launched into a bizarre, jerky dance routine, swinging her arms like malfunctioning windmills. Trying to play along, I mimicked her movements, flailing my sock-covered hands in what I could only hope passed as culturally respectful enthusiasm. Lissa let out a delighted squeal, spinning faster. I tried to match her and ended up slipping on the hardwood floor, crashing into her with all the grace of a collapsing star. We landed in a tangled heap, limbs awkwardly intertwined, sock puppets pressed between us like a sacrificial offering. For a few tense seconds neither of us moved. Her body was warm, soft, absurdly inviting against mine. Her breath hitched. Mine wasn't doing much better. Her eyes locked onto mine, pupils dilating. I caught a whiff of something sweet and slightly metallic, her natural scent, I realized. Not unpleasant. Kind of intoxicating. She whispered. It is time for mating pounce initiation. That snapped me out of it. Wait. I stammered, scrambling upright. Maybe we should slow down? You know, dinner, movie, some heavy petting, then toaster duels? She tilted her head, confused. Heavy petting? I can carry heavy things. You wish me to pet them? I couldn't help laughing, a genuine, uncontrollable bark of amusement. No, I said quickly, holding up my hands. It's human slang. She narrowed her eyes. You humans are very complicated. On my world, one solid mating pounce and the contract is sealed. I tried not to picture being flattened by her very attractive, very aggressive pounce technique. She sat cross-legged on the floor, watching me with a mix of curiosity and mild impatience. If you are not ready, she said solemnly, I will grant you time to prepare your spirit. I nodded, relieved, though a small, traitorous part of me was disappointed. Tonight, she continued, we duel the toaster. I wasn't sure how things had escalated from sock dances to kitchen appliance combat, but I was learning fast that logical progression was a human luxury Lissa's species didn't bother with. She rose gracefully, brushing off imaginary dust, and approached me with a kind of ceremonial seriousness. In preparation, you must not cleanse yourself, she said, eyeing me critically. Excuse me? Cleansing washes away the powerful mating musk, she said matter-of-factly. It is essential. I tried very hard not to laugh in her face. The last thing I needed was an interstellar incident because I couldn't take a serious discussion about mating musk seriously. Lissa produced a small vial from somewhere, probably stuffed into the Viking helmet, and dabbed a silver, glittery substance on my wrists and neck. This will amplify your natural aura, she said. It smelled like a mix of burnt sugar and ozone. I inhaled deeply, feeling a bit lightheaded, and realized I was already too far gone to back out now. Prepare yourself, she said, stepping back with regal grace. Tonight, the great trial awaits. I nodded dumbly, feeling like I had just been enrolled in an alien version of The Bachelor without signing a waiver. As she left, the fart slime farted one last time for good measure, the smell following her like a cursed perfume. I sat down heavily on the couch, head in my hands. Tonight, I had a date with destiny. And a duel with my toaster. By the time the sun dipped below the skyline, my nerves were a wreck. I'd spent the afternoon staring at the toaster like it was a loaded gun, half expecting it to sprout legs and attack me on sight. I even Googled how to win a duel against a toaster, but all I got was a Reddit thread full of people arguing over the best bread for battle. None of it helped. When Lissa arrived, she carried herself with the kind of gravitas usually reserved for royal coronations. She wore the same lingerie disaster, but now sported war paint across her cheeks, 2 bold streaks of glittering silver, and carried a toaster like a knight bearing his sword into battle. We fight with honor, she declared, setting the toaster reverently onto the kitchen counter. I raised a brow. I thought we were battling my toaster. She shook her head gravely. Your device is unworthy. I have brought a sacred warrior toaster from my lineage. Of course she had. The sacred toaster looked, well, like a toaster. Slightly shinier, maybe, but definitely just a toaster. I was beginning to suspect the entire ritual had less to do with actual battle and more to do with who could outweird the other first. Lissa gestured dramatically. You must best a beast in its own domain. And how exactly do I do that? She looked at me like I was an idiot. You must dominate its functions. Subdue its rebellion. And most importantly, she leaned in, whispering conspiratorially, perfectly toast a slice of bread. I blinked. That's it. Make toast? She nodded solemnly. Without burning. Without undercooking. It must be golden perfection. I glanced at the toaster, then back at her. You realize I'm human, right? We burn toast like it's a national pastime. She straightened, pride glowing in her expression. I have faith in you. My heart has chosen. No pressure or anything. Lissa handed me a slice of alien bread, purple, speckled with green dots, and suspiciously moist to the touch. I shuddered and inserted it into the toaster, praying to whatever gods monitored interspecies relationships that I wouldn't screw this up. The toaster hummed ominously. I adjusted the settings carefully, feeling Lissa's intense gaze drilling holes into the back of my skull. I pulled the lever down. Time slowed. We waited. The smell of baking alien bread filled the air, a strange combination of cinnamon and something chemical. Sweat beaded on my forehead. Lissa whispered encouragements in her language, probably ancient blessings or perhaps just her shopping list. I couldn't tell. The toaster popped. I grabbed the bread midair like it was a grenade, examining it under the overhead light. Golden. Glorious. Perfect. Lissa gasped, clasping her hands to her chest like she was witnessing a miracle. "You are chosen!" she cried. "The sacred bond is sealed." I placed the bread carefully on a plate, relieved and absurdly proud of myself. Who knew perfect toast could secure interstellar romance? Lissa advanced on me with a predatory gleam in her eyes. "Now comes the pledge of flesh." I swallowed hard. "You mean?" She grinned wickedly. "We share the bread." I almost laughed in relief, but caught myself when she tore the slice in half with a ceremonial flourish and offered me a piece like it was a Eucharist. We each took a bite. It tasted surprisingly good, like spiced cake soaked in rum, but with an odd fizzy aftertaste that made my tongue tingle. Lissa closed her eyes, savoring the moment. "This is the bond of bodies," she murmured. "We are now eligible for full mating." Eligible. Like I had passed a background check. She reached for me, fingers grazing my arm lightly, sending shivers down my spine. Her touch was warm, electric. Her scent, metallic and sweet, wrapped around me, dizzying. I cleared my throat, trying to stay focused. "So, what happens now?" She smiled coyly, tilting her head. "You must present the toast of victory." I blinked. "There's more toast?" She laughed, a throaty, sultry sound. "No. It is a metaphor. Present yourself." There was no mistaking the heat in her eyes now. I hesitated for half a second, debating all my life choices that led me to this moment, and then stripped off my shirt, tossing it aside with a bravado I didn't feel. Lissa's gaze swept over me appreciatively, her smile growing wider. "You are very well toasted," she said, mangling the compliment but making my heart thud like a bass drum anyway. She stepped closer, sliding her arms around my neck, pressing her lithe body against mine. I could feel every curve, every breath, every heartbeat. Her lips brushed my ear. "Toast me," she whispered. I laughed, low and breathless, pulling her even closer. "Gladly." Before I could initiate anything more scandalous, Lissa paused, serious again. "First," she said, "we must acknowledge the bonding witness." I stared at her blankly. From the counter, the fart slime let out a triumphant fart. Of course. It wasn't a proper ceremony without a farting jellyfish blessing. Lissa bowed formally to the slime, who bobbed in approval. I followed suit, feeling like a complete lunatic, but honestly, what was one more indignity at this point? Ceremonial duties complete, she returned to me with a hungry look, her hands roaming boldly. Her touch was exploratory, reverent, as if memorizing every inch of my human skin. My hands mirrored hers, tracing the delicate planes of her back, the curve of her hips. Alien or not, some things were universal. We kissed, tentative at first, then deeper, more desperate. Her lips were soft, cool against mine, tasting faintly of the spicy, fizzy bread. She made a soft, throaty sound that ignited something primal inside me. Whatever happened next, there would be no misunderstandings. No customs lost in translation. Only heat, chemistry, and a hell of a lot of bad puns waiting for the morning after. The next morning, I woke to the distinct sensation of being wrapped in something warm, soft, and stubbornly clinging. It took me a minute to realize it was Lissa, sprawled across me like a particularly affectionate octopus. Her silver hair was a tangled mess against my chest, her leg tossed possessively over mine, her hand firmly clutching the waistband of my boxers as if afraid I might escape. For a moment, I just lay there, listening to her quiet breathing, feeling the strange but undeniable comfort of her presence. Then she stirred, blinking up at me with a sleepy, satisfied smile that should have been illegal without a warning label. "Victory," she mumbled. "Victory," I agreed hoarsely, stroking a hand through her wild hair. She stretched luxuriously, her body sliding against mine in ways that made coherent thought very difficult. Then she sat up, straddling my hips with the regal bearing of a queen surveying her conquered kingdom. "You have proven yourself," she said, voice thick with pride and something else far more dangerous. I smirked. "Does that mean I get my official alien boyfriend certificate?" She frowned, puzzled, then brightened. "Yes. You are now classified as primary mate. Congratulations." "Primary?" I repeated. "There's a secondary?" She tapped her chin thoughtfully. "Only if you die in toaster combat." "Comforting," I muttered, earning a musical laugh from her. She rolled off me and bounded to her feet, unbothered by her complete lack of clothing. I admired her shamelessness even as I threw an arm over my eyes, partly to shield myself and partly to resist the urge to drag her back into bed for round 2. "I must alert the council," she said, rooting through the drawers for God knows what. "And prepare the joining feast." "Joining feast?" I echoed, already regretting asking. "It is tradition. We invite neighbors. There is much meat. And slime," she said brightly. My stomach turned at the memory of the farting jellyfish, but I nodded gamely. "Sounds delicious." Lissa threw on one of my shirts. It hung off her like a ridiculously sexy toga, and bounded back over to plant a quick kiss on my forehead. "You are mine now," she said, serious as a heart attack. I gave a theatrical sigh. "Guess I'd better cancel my Tinder account." She frowned again. "Tinder? Is this a rival suitor?" I chuckled. "No, it's... Never mind. You're the only alien goddess currently wrecking my love life." She beamed, looking so pleased with herself I couldn't help but grin back. Then came the knocking. Loud. Insistent. Lissa's smile vanished. She stiffened like a guard dog on high alert. "Stay here," she ordered, grabbing the toaster like a weapon and marching toward the door. I scrambled into a pair of jeans, heart hammering. What now? Was this some intergalactic jealous ex situation? Were toaster duels about to become literal? Lissa cracked the door open. A short, scaly creature in a neon jumpsuit stood there, holding what looked suspiciously like a subpoena. "Lissa Chutara of Sector 47B, the creature barked. "You have been reported for unauthorized bonding with an Earth native." Lissa's jaw dropped. "What? That's absurd. He toasted perfectly." The creature flipped through a stack of holographic documents. "Perfect toast or not, you require bonding permits. Fines apply. Possibly imprisonment." I watched in horror as Lissa's face morphed from outrage to panic to grim determination. "Very well," she said. "We will contest the charges. In the court of binding." The little alien groaned. "You understand that means invoking the right of proving?" Lissa nodded solemnly. The alien scribbled something on his tablet, handed her a glowing citation, and stalked off grumbling. Lissa slammed the door, turning to me with fire in her eyes. "We must prepare," she said. "For what?" I asked weakly. She raised the toaster high above her head. "For combat. For love. For honor." I stared at her, incredulous. "You're telling me we have to prove our relationship by fighting in some kind of alien court?" She nodded, deadly serious. "And if we lose?" Her smile was wicked. "You become my slave for eternity. And if we win?" Her smile grew even wider. "We skip straight to honeymoon phase." I blew out a long, shaky breath. "No pressure then." Lissa dropped the toaster with a triumphant clunk onto the table. "We train at dawn." I laughed, the absurdity washing over me like a wave. "You realize humans don't exactly have a standard training regimen for toaster warfare, right?" She patted my cheek condescendingly. "You have heart. That is enough." I shook my head, laughing despite myself. Fine. Let's do it. But after we win, you owe me a real date. No sock dances. No fart slimes. No sacred toasters. She tilted her head, considering. Agreed. Human-style date. I will research. Maybe I will wear the denim pants of seduction. I laughed so hard I nearly doubled over. Jeans, Lissa. They're called jeans. She nodded sagely. Jeans of conquest. I will acquire them. Still chuckling, I reached for her, pulling her into a lazy kiss that promised more heat and insanity ahead. Maybe it was crazy. Maybe it was reckless. Maybe it was exactly what I needed. Because somehow, against all odds, in a world where nothing made sense anymore, I had found my perfect match. And together, we were going to toast the universe.